right, it's 7:30, so we'll go ahead and get started. I will now call the order of the Nanticoke Riverfest Committee meeting to order, excuse me. First thing that we want to go over this morning, good morning, Ashley, is just a brief overview for the schedule of events. Right now, we currently have 4 entertainers booked for the main stage. The Reunion Band, which is with Matt Spong. He's through LAS, and they've done a lot of work down at the Oyster House Park. So he inquired about it last year, and I figured we would give him a shot this year. It is I think they are a 6-piece band, so it'll be nice. We'll have them as the kind of the closer for the late afternoon, evening from probably 4 to 6 p.m. Charlie and the Cool Tones has asked if they could come back again. I figured since they are very local to the area that we would allow them to come if everybody is in agreement with that.
What times would they be?
I'm still working out the list of how many spots we need to fill. I did reach out to Maria Mulryan, her and another girl named Dylan. They've been performing locally around different venues. They're an acoustic duo, so I think that would be nice, maybe midday, early afternoon if possible, if they're available. I did confirm that the Nanticoke Indian Dance Troupe is, wanting to come back, as well as the Sussex Sassy Dancers. I did meet with Kevin yesterday from Mid-South Audio, and he believes that a potential shift in venue from the Mount Olivet parking lot to the newly purchased piece of property at the block building is logistically feasible. So with that, pretty much everything we're going to try to fit in between 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. 8:30 is, if we're allowed to have it, is the float-in, start of the float-in. We'll have opening ceremonies as normal. I did want to ask, last year the mayor requested that we had a separate ceremony in the evening before a couple of the main acts to do a sponsorship ceremony that was separate, since there were more people engaged. Usually there's not a lot of people first thing in the morning. Did we want to continue with that trend, or just do everything all at once for the opening ceremonies?
Why don't we just do the sponsor ceremony and skip the opening ceremonies?
Okay.
And do that before, maybe at like 4, before the before the headliner, maybe, at the stage.
So skip opening ceremonies.
Nobody's there normally that
Especially
early.
the float-in.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
Us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the ones there.
And the parents of the,
Yeah.
what do you call it? The
The
beauty,
Sussex Sassy.
the parents of the Little Miss
Yes.
judging thing, they're usually there, but.
So, all right, skip opening ceremonies, move to afternoon before the final act. All right, if we're all in agreement, does somebody want to make a motion to change that? Anybody?
I'll make a motion to change so that we don't do opening ceremonies at the beginning. We change it to before the headline performance.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Thank you. Next on our agenda is kind of event needs and logistics. We're still, even though it's May, we're still a little early on in planning since we got a delayed start with our meetings. the biggest thing that we have been discussing, that we had discussed, prior to, that we discussed last year, was kind of a whole shift in events and where they're held and the locations that are held. We, I did speak to our vendor coordinators. We did have a meeting with not a meeting, just a discussion with the director of electric about potentially putting vendors along Riverwalk. That's something that we had been discussing. And after walking down the property, it's just, since there is very limited to no electric out there, there's not really, we have Oyster House Park, but it's not super known to the public. People know about it, they just haven't been down there to visit. We just think that it's easier to keep vendors on High Street this year. Like I said, we did meet with I did meet with Kevin to go over that. So the idea was, when we walked along High Street, was to centralize all of the food. So instead of the main stage being in the Mount Olivet parking lot, we would have essentially a food court style. We did kind of map it out with the measuring stick, and we could fit, I think, all of the everybody,
that came last one. Yep.
all of the food trucks, all of the regular food vendors that come in that location.
With the changes, have you considered that Porta Johns and trash bins might need to be in different locations than they have been last year?
Yes, that's one thing that we just need to, we haven't sat down and to go over that layout, because they will most likely need to be moved or added to closer. We'll probably keep them in that area. They may just need to be shifted to where they are physically placed.
Because if we're going to get quotes, they'll just need to know, basically the numbers is what to provide a quote, not so much the location. So if you can just look to see if the numbers of them are going to stay the same.
Yep. The other thing that was discussed, this, I don't know if everybody remembers, this is Bill Messmer. He was trying to come on last year as the new car show coordinator. That's what I'll call you. And so welcome, Bill. And we talked about maybe potentially moving the car show, instead of having it from Cannon Street on down to Cedar Avenue, shifting that to Market Street between King Street and High Street. It's pretty easy access for cars to come in. They can park on, the street's wide enough so that there would be plenty, even if they parked at an angle on both sides of the street, for people to maneuver through. And then at the end of their show, we would just carefully open the barricades. They can make that left-hand turn onto High Street and then out either to Middleford, since Front Street will be open. And then, since the children's area was in the Market Street lot, I think that's what we've called it, we thought about moving them into Gateway Park. The only thing that I need to confirm with DelDOT and Burley Mears, Director of Public Works, is that the TAP project in Gateway Park will not be starting. I think Charles, if you can confirm, they're given the go-ahead July 1, but we're not sure if it's actually going to begin specifically on July 1st.
Yeah, we don't have an update at this point, but the construction start is imminent, so we should know some more. We're certainly, when we involve ourselves in the construction meetings, we'll certainly try to delay the contractor past this event if we can.
Okay, thank you. Gary is unable to be here. He has done logistics as far as tent, table needs in the past. So we can touch base on that probably next meeting. I can, sit and discuss with him if anything needs to change. We may need, Annette and I discussed, we probably, due to COVID and just the overall nature of bounce houses, we probably will not offer those this year. So we'll have just a large craft station as well as children's entertainment.
I did have a question from someone. Are
Sure.
you planning to do an information booth this year again?
I think you
I
have.
mean, I think
And
we
are we
could,
gonna, because where would you put it? If you put it where it's always been, it could be loud.
yes. It could be something where we put it closer towards the end of City Hall, almost kind of in the grass in front of City Hall. It could go there. It could, depending on, I have not heard, the chief, the last time I spoke with him, I did ask him about the fire department doing their chicken and to moving that to the private lot that's on the corner of Market and High Street. We did get permission from the property owner to use that lot this year. But he said, the fire chief said that he had not discussed with them about doing the chicken barbecue yet, so that is still to be determined as of this year. It could be something where they get put in that grass lot. We could always have it there as well. So there's a couple options, but I agree. I
Yeah,
think
there
it
was
would
someone
be-
that wanted to volunteer, so they were asking.
But I do think, especially if we have a newer layout of where things are, we definitely need to print new maps, have those available. If we're gonna sell T-shirts again, which I would like to sell T-shirts, just a quick overview. I think some of you have seen it. I'm gonna pass it around now. But this is the draft of the back of the T-shirt. Of course, the elements that are in white will be colored in. But if everybody just can confirm and agree that they like the design, that I will pass it along to Terry with ASAP Printing, and we'll get those in order. I think the only thing that we were had some question about is based on the colors of the design, what color the committee T-shirts will be this year. So most likely I'll get a couple colors, try to send that out to everybody to get a general consensus on what that will be. So,
Well, I know we've had purple, and we've had yellow, not a big deal, but is there a green, kind of a light green? It might pick up the word Nanticoke nicely.
that's what my thoughts were, was like a light green, maybe not anything too vivid, but, and not anything like chartreuse either, but, but that was an idea. We had, I mean, you're wearing purple, I think we've had yellow, we had a light blue, I think in 2017. I can't remember what was 2016. That's too far back for me. But anyway, that's minor details. So I think that's all. I think for the most part, I will say I did receive a couple emails regarding COVID-19. A lot of restrictions are changing beginning May 21st. A lot of you may be aware of this already. Our event will still hold over 250 people, so mask requirements will most likely still be required during our event. Sharon, for those of you that weren't in attendance, or she spoke with me, we touched base on this even last year. Instead of having a big tent for them where they usually are, they want to have floaters this year that will provide sanitizer, I don't know if she'll have masks or anything else. I think they do maybe want to have a small first aid station, just with a smaller tent. I will confirm with her, but I think that will be very beneficial to us and to the volunteers that usually come in, because that is one thing they will not have to worry about doing, since we'll have the Title Health staff to help kind of meet our sanitation requirements for Delaware Public Health. We will have to send an approved plan to Delaware Public Health. I will send it. It's supposed to be at least no more than 7 days in advance. Clearly, we'll try to get that in advance, way more in advance than 7 days. My thoughts were that we could break it down into kind of doing a COVID plan for each station. So we'll have a COVID plan that's for the float-in. We'll have a COVID plan for the children's area for entertainment, kind of all of those just built into one document that will get sent off to Delaware Public Health. And each of you that has the different elements will review to make sure, you know, we all fully understand what's going to be expected of us. I've spoken. Her name is Heather. She's very nice. I've worked with her a lot over the past several months, and if anything needs to be changed, rather than not approving it, she just gives us suggestions that we need to put in there in order for us to be approved. So I don't think we'll run into a whole lot of problems, but we'll try to. I'm trying to slowly work into the weeds of that now. The last thing on our agenda, just for this morning, is committee reports. So I will work to my left. Charles, if you'd like to start.
I can just report, I did speak with the fire chief this week about lining up the dive team, the boats, those safety aspects. So they are on board. They're interested in participating again this year, which is good.
Great.
And you have on your list, Katie, to submit for the DENREC permit so that that's available. So I think all's in place. I did line up some volunteers, so I know some people in the room volunteered to help, so thank you.
Thank you. Annette?
For the children's area, as you had said, we will not be having any bounce houses this year. I have all of the children's entertainment lined up. Air engineer, our stilt walker and hula hoop dancer is going to be coming back. That was really a big thing I guess it was 2 years ago. The kids really, it's an interactive hula hoop show, and they just loved it. She brings a ton of hula hoops. She shows them all kinds of things. There was a lot of participation, and I figure that gives them the opportunity to spread out. So she'll be back. The juggling Hoffmans will be back. And then our princesses, we're doing Anna and Elsa this year. So from Frozen 2, not Frozen 1. So there's totally different costumes apparently. So they will be there this year doing a sing-along and then there for pictures. And then we will have, my thought process is I'm going to need more tables because I'm going to spread out. But I want to do 5 different things. We're going to do a bubble station where they can take little bubbles, but there's also going to be the big bubble wands and things like that. And that'll be one station. This does kind of hinge upon being able to be in the Gateway Park. So, but if we are there, then I also want to do a sidewalk chalk station so that they can spread out and draw. And then there will be a sand art, of course, and make the little lei necklaces. That was big. And, keychains, coloring and keychains. So I've got all of that ordered. And then the last thing that I thought of, which I think is kind of neat, it might be a little bit pricey, but there's the kinetic sand, the magic sand. I'd like to have a magic sand station. They have little trays that you can do, and I can actually spread them out so that the kids can kind of spread out and just play with the sand, get all the molds and stuff. I have some friends that their kids have it, or I don't have little ones anymore, so, but they play with it for hours. So I'm like, well, that might be neat to have something. So I'm going to look into that. But other than that, the children's area is ready to go.
Great, thank you. Jess and Ashley, I will just make a reminder, you do need to speak into the microphone if one of you needs to change.
Last week, we sent out all of the vendor packets to vendors that were here in years past. We kind of have a preliminary map out of how we're going to set everybody up down High Street, and we did get our first returned application yesterday. We did note that we're going to hold all of the checks until, was it June 15th? Something like that. That way, if for any reason the event gets canceled, we don't have to worry about refunding.
That's
You want to add anything?
Well, I know we did say that we were going to try to, obviously, changing things around and space and people maybe needing to be a little bit further apart than normal. We did really try to focus this year on like local businesses. So people in the area, we sent, the vendor information out to a lot of the people that were here last time. But, we're hoping to maybe not limit, but maybe try to keep it more local businesses. So obviously, we will take anybody who wants to be a part of Riverfest, but we are trying to keep it as local as possible, especially with space and having a new setup. So, yeah, more open space for people. And then keeping those downtown businesses available for foot traffic, not putting anybody in front of them again like we did last time. So I think that's it.
Thank you. Bill?
Well, being new, I'll try to keep it pretty short. I had a couple of questions. Dina is nice enough to have provided me with all the past information about the Riverfest. This page concerns the people who have donated. I have 48 people who have been interested in donating their local businesses, and question as to how they will be presented to the public. In other words, take for example, Hungry Howie's donated a certificate or a food certificate or something. Dina said that during the day, someone would be announcing the door prizes and I guess just abstractly giving them out. Do you know how this works? Because I don't know.
So throughout the day, I don't know all of the logistics regarding the car show and what happens, but Dina, in years past, she has her own tent. We do provide her with a separate sound system, and either she or had a volunteer for the car show specifically probably would go through, I'd say every 15, 20 minutes, probably make that announcement. It could just be a simple, we want to take the time out, thank our sponsors, and then list a number of sponsors for this event. You could do that every 15, 30, well, you could probably break it up into every half hour. Just list a couple if you have a longer list. That's just a suggestion. I don't know specifically how she did that, but we could certainly touch base and reach out and see how it best worked for her. And if that works out, we'll try to mimic that same thing again this year.
But this would be given from the microphone at the registration tent?
Yes, there's a car show tent that we put up with a couple tables each year, and they have a separate electric. That way, if you need to make any type of announcements during the afternoon or during the car show, you can.
The other thing is I had two questions from people who've responded to my emails telling them about the car show. Paul Russell wants to know when he goes to car shows, the car shows usually say that the proceeds are going to some kind of charity or another. It was never mentioned as to whether the proceeds are going to be given to like the fire hall, the police department, the youth athletic league, or if there's something that specifically that the registration money goes to. or does it just turn back into the town, to the general fund? I mean, I don't really want to get involved in this. If somebody was to ask me, what would I say?
Right.
That was one question. The other question is, another group asked about, in the past, they've gotten advanced discounts at pre-registration. Like they knock, if it's a $20 fee to present your car, it's $15 if you pre-register. So again, I told him that we would not be doing this year because of the COVID, that this has been very difficult to organize for you, and that we're just going to go with the registration at the event itself. So, but this is just something I'm throwing out because I imagine it would take a committee vote to decide who benefits from the car show, and another committee vote to say, well, yes, you can give them a discount this year. So that's all I really have to say.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for those questions. I will reach out to Dina. I'll be honest, usually we are right. I mean, our expenses and revenues usually work out just to break even each year. This isn't really a money-making event for the city of Seaford. Usually, I mean, we try to get sponsorships to cover our free entertainment to the public, as well as free entertainment, especially the children's area. Everything will be free this year. So should we make a profit, it's something that we can discuss. If that's something that the committee would like to discuss, should we make a profit? Like I said, I can touch base with Dina again to see, if she had anything in mind, if there was something that she had thought about in past years. As far as pre-registration, I don't believe that the city was involved with pre-registration. If somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe so. I believe that's something she just took on herself. If we would not like to do that, I think that's fine. We'll just vote on it. But I think it will be a little bit easier for those. We may just have to move the allotted time to registration that morning a little. We may have to give a bigger, instead of 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., it may have to start at 8:30 just to allow for that much more time for so many cars coming at once. So if somebody could make a motion for no pre-registration for the car show.
Katie, let me discuss that for just a minute. We haven't covered the poker paddle, but we're adding that event this year, right? A water event?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about pre-registration for that. So maybe to give them a discounted pre-register so that we get some feel for the number of people coming. So maybe it could be done, similarly on the website when they sign up for the car show. They would have an option when they come onto the website, the Riverfest website. They could go to either, I want to register for the car show, or I want to register for the poker paddle, or whatever. And both could be discounted for early. And I certainly was hoping to explore that a little more in the future. So.
And I believe that when we had the canoe and kayak races, there was pre-registration,
Yes. Okay.
and it was at a slightly discounted rate,
Okay.
if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Okay.
So,
If we want to keep that in place, I think whatever is easiest, but I agree. I mean, if we're going to do it for one, we should do it for the other as well. I can talk to our director of finance regarding online registrations. I believe there is a way we could do that, but I want, before I just put that out there, I want to discuss that with her first, and then once we have that discussion, I will notify the both of you and the rest of everybody that this is what is happening, this is how we get to it, and how it's being processed. And then the day of, and then the morning of, it can be another set price, as we
I'm not saying
did.
that it's going to happen this year. I'm just saying that somebody may ask the question, and to give them an answer this year, I've said no. But
Okay.
in the future, if something, if there's a way to do it through the website with a credit card, I'm sure that this is what people really electronic is the way people go nowadays. So, I
Now,
think-
see, with the credit card, there may be an issue because we charge a fee of 2.95% for any credit card use.
Yes.
So that's going to swallow up any early registration.
Yeah,
cost.
well,
Could
it,
it be built into it?
Yeah, we don't have that capability.
no, that.
Well,
it's-
the city
it's-
isn't who charges the fee, it's the credit card processor.
Yeah, it's a third-party system that charges the fee.
Okay.
I mean, and it's something that, you know, you just put that out there. You may pre-register online, and then with a little note that says, you know, a disclaimer, you will be charged.
Or
the
send it
third-party.
in.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
Mail
or
in
or
check
mail it
to-
in.
That's
Yeah.
the way to do it. People
But it
do
must
not
be
mind-
mailed in by a certain
People do
date.
not mind a 2-3% charge, I'm sure, to have the convenience of just being able to pay with a credit card.
Yeah, especially if it's a smaller fee. So, okay.
And then the other, just to the other question, I think
Sure.
it should be made clear that as the Nanticoke Riverfest, it is not in the city of Seaford. It doesn't go to the general fund. Nanticoke Riverfest has its own banking and, you know, has its own accounts that's kept separate from city of Seaford funds. Any funds that we have left over go towards for future years.
Thank you, Annette.
So, it's the events funds, and it funds, you know, if we have a profit, it kind of supplements when there's years that we do not have a profit, which that generally is the case, so. But I just wanted to make sure that you knew.
Now, that's
That's
a
not-
good
yeah.
answer, but, like the Shore Vets Car Club is having a event down in Fruitland, and the proceeds are, because it's a nonprofit, proceeds are going to benefit the Operation We Care. And like I said, there's no harm or no embarrassment about saying that the funds are going to go for some kind of charity or for the fire company or for the police department or anything like that. But if people ask me, I'll just simply say that it's going back to Riverfest.
To fund
because the
future,
event
yeah.
costs money, and we have to be able to provide these things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that will work.
Yep,
I just need an answer, that's all.
there
Right.
you go. Yep, that would probably work. Yeah.
Thank you, Annette, and thank you, Bill. Mike, do you have anything to share?
We submitted for the Del Dot permit this week. Hopefully, we'll hear back soon. And we're going to look at the barricades, too, for the road closures.
Thank you. Tina, do you have anything to share?
As far as the Duck Dash, we had discussed possibly one, not having it, or only having one heat instead of two, because typically we do not sell a lot of tickets. And then I guess that's going to depend on the information booth as well.
Right. How does everybody feel about the Duck Dash? What are our thoughts on the Duck Dash? Is it something that we want to continue with? Do we want to do just one heat worth of ducks? Do we want to eliminate it? That's something we can vote on this morning.
I know I've manned the information booth in past years, and it's been pretty popular. People come up and ask, you know, how do I get into the Duck Dash? When does it start? You know, what are the rewards and all that stuff? So I'd hate to see it go away. That's just one input. But
Okay.
Then I would say probably one heat.
Just
instead of
one?
two.
Okay. I know we give out cash prizes each year. Do we want to adjust the prize amount, the award amount? I believe we talked about it, I believe the first one was $100, first place winner. The second one was $50, and the third one was $25. Do we want to adjust those amounts at all?
I'd say we would if we're only gonna do one heat, it actually might, you know, bring more interest. The bigger the prize, the more interest, and probably the more tickets you're gonna sell, so I would say yes.
Keep it
Yeah.
as is?
As one heat and with more money. Or
With more money.
With a bigger prize, yes.
Okay. There's,
Either you could adjust the prizes to go up, or you can adjust them to go down and do two heats, is I guess how I could see it.
right.
Because it's the same token, you could, adjust it to go up and you could win more money, whereas if you do 2 heats, you have another
More
opportunity to win.
opportunities
Right.
to win.
So that might be a suggestion, is to adjust the prices to either go up, the prizes, or, take them down and do 2 heats.
Would you all want, all right, just send this, would you all want a larger pot or more chances to win?
Well,
Just so
I
we
think
can,
Tina had said that she just wanted, because of, logistically, it's tough to catch all the ducks and then do
Yes.
it again.
And then
So
you get
I
to do it
think
twice.
honestly,
yes.
yeah,
It
we've
is.
been
I've
there.
watched
Yeah,
it.
it's yeah.
The little ducks go crazy.
So I would say 1 heat and then up the price.
I agree. Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to change the duck dash to 1 heat and increase the prize money.
I'll second that.
All in
Do
favor?
we have to include in the motion what the prize money is going to increase to?
I think maybe we probably ought
Sure.
to set that up. I said 200 for the first prize, 100 for second, 50 for third. Is that,
That's a big prize.
well, it was 100 for the first prize,
It
right?
was
And
100.
When there was 2 heats, so,
100,
Put it all in one thing,
75,
Prize money.
and,
It's going to be the same then, the same money we're going to give this time that we did the last time with 2 heats then. You see what I'm saying?
oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just the heat that was the issue. I didn't think that it was the cost.
Typically, I think we're typically in the negative.
Well, we're in a negative in a lot of these things, but,
Well, then, that's fine then.
I mean, that's up to,
One
do we want to
heat.
keep it then at the same?
Do you want to add a 4th place instead of just 3? So maybe make it 150 for first place, and then 100, 75, 50, like 4 places? More chances to win? What do you think?
in one shot?
Tina, that's up to you. You're the one.
If you did that, that would reduce the overall cost, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Is that a 1 heat with
With 4 winners?
4 winners with those amounts, and that would reduce the total number, total
That's
effort?
fine by me.
Is that,
So I'll just write this down, 150, 100, 75, and then 50.
1 heat?
1 single heat. Okay, if we're in agreement with that, let's make a motion.
You wanna
Oh, my
adjust your
goodness.
motion?
Okay, I will make a motion to decrease the duck dash to 1 heat with 4 prizes for $100 for the first place. Second place is
150.
70, I'm sorry.
150
Sorry.
for first place.
Okay.
My apologies.
100, 75, 50.
Oh, okay. Okay, so first place, 150, second place, 100, third place, 75, and fourth place is 50.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Tina. Sterner.
Our response, it'll mirror what we've done in the past. But I did have 2 questions.
Okay.
What time did you want the road shut down?
In the morning, it would be the same time as usual, which would be 6 a.m. And then I would keep the roads closed until
It was 8 p.m.
8 p.m. This would allow for breakdown for vendors as well as volunteers that are picking up trash, because there have been some safety concerns in the past about the roads being opened up and us still picking up trash in the evening.
And it's still the same layout. The road's closed from Cedar Avenue
Yes,
down to Front Street.
yes. Although we have shifted things around a bit,
It's the same layout.
layout-wise, yes, as far as road closures, it should still be the same. Thank you.
I'm sorry, did I just hear Front Street was gonna be closed?
No.
I don't know. your
No,
calendar
just,
well.
I'm sorry, just 2 Front Street. So if you're looking in front of Royal Farms, High Street,
Milford is closed from the hospital to Front Street?
no.
No.
It's closed at that intersection.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, because you mentioned about,
They'll be able to,
bringing the cars in on King Street, so King Street would not be closed.
not King Street, they could just come straight up Market Street. And then there will be barricades, but we can have a volunteer there, or you can be there to just open that up specifically for car show vendors.
Okay.
And then when they exit, will carefully make a left-hand turn onto High Street, and exit either straight out to Middleford Road or take another left onto Front Street or right onto Front Street. We can go out and walk it just so that you have a visual as well. And then, same layout. Okay, Tracy?
We will not be doing a mayor's challenge this year. As far as the trash and porta johns, once you get those numbers to me, I'll get some quotes from some companies.
I'll try to get them
And
to you the end of this week.
if everyone can just let me know for volunteers, if they want to keep it the same as how they have in the past. I know some events coordinate their own volunteers. And then we'll just have to work out as far as the information booth, adjusting those hours.
Okay, I'll reach out to the ROTC. I know that they've been a big help for us the past couple of years, so I'll see if they can at least provide, either volunteers just throughout the day to assist, where assistance is needed, if you need any fill-in spots for information booth or trash.
And that's all I had.
Thank you. Toby?
Okay, yeah, we're adding a new event this year, the poker paddle. It's a kayak and canoe, primarily kayak event, a water event. So the concept is that people put their kayak in the water and they can, paddle around the Nanticoke as much as they want. But there will be 5 stations at various docks and locations around the river. And they stop by each one of the 5 stations and they pull an envelope, and the envelope has a playing card in it. So then at the end of the day, they'll turn in their envelopes, and we open the envelopes and see what the hand is and register that. And so the hope is that at the end of the day, at some point, we have some kind of an award event, and people can gather, and then we'll have these events. So it's the first time I've done it, so I'm relying on a couple of things. One is Katie's help and advice, and second is I have a friend over on the other side of the bay who's a rabid kayaker, so he goes to every one of these races and stuff, so he's got all kinds of ideas. So I have a sheet, there's lots of things that need to be worked, like sponsors and awards, and it's a very low-cost event. People just show up and put their kayak in. We will have registration, so people, they need to sign the liability waiver and stuff like that. So we'll have a registration deck, a registration table. I thought we would start at the boat ramp out to the west of town. That way it's got lots of space, for people to pull up their vehicle or whatever and put their kayak in the water. And so they would come in and out. There would be, I would say, open from 1 to 4. They can get in anytime they want. They can start, late in the day, as long as they can get to the 5 stations and get their thing. So it's a way to profile and highlight the Nanticoke and Seaford. And I think it'll be a good event. So this, like I say, this is our first year doing it. I'm sure there'll be a few rough edges to be worked out, but I think it'll be fun.
Well, thank you for taking that on. I think it is nice to have something that is more river-centric. Just one thing, thank you, Toby. One thing that I just want to touch base on, she's not here this morning, but we did send out 150 sponsor letters to people that have donated in the past. If there does anybody have anything else before we adjourn this morning? Any other questions, concerns, comments? Since we got a delayed start, I'd like to have the next meeting on May 20th, which is 2 weeks from now. It would be at 7:30 a.m. right back in the same location. This would allow us to meet about 3 or 4 more times before the event happens. And I'll send out a meeting reminder just to the committee, and we'll just meet back here again. If nothing else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Katie.